Hello and welcome to the Birmingham News Weekend magazine. It's our relaxed look around Birmingham and the West Midlands. So then, coming up on today's show, we'll kick off with a look back at this week in the wide world of sport. I love saying that. Carl will join us for the business news and also a look at the film world. I'll be seeing what's up on the good old community notice board, and Des will be telling us what's on this week. We'll also be profiling another artist a little later on in the show. And remember, if you know somebody with the talent, get them to get in touch, or you get in touch. Jason Forrest will join us with another interesting guest in the Milk Bar, and then Norman Bartlett will tell us what's so special about this month. It's very special, you know. It's all within the pages of the Weekend magazine. So then, first up, let's have a look back over this week in the wide world of sport.
Joined here by two members of Evolution Roller Derby and Joe Lockley from County Sports Partnership Energise, who's been working with them to help get some funding into the coffers. So we'll come to you in a minute and you can tell me how violent you think it is or isn't. But Joe, tell me a bit about Energise first of all and how you've got involved in the roller derby area.
So our role as a County Sports Partnership is to work all over Shropshire, Telford and Wrekin and get everyone active into sport. And what we found is when we work with sports such as roller derby, it attracts people that aren't necessarily active, people that want to get fit, want to get active, want to try sport for making friends, for feeling part of a team, and that's exactly what Evolution Roller Derby does. That's their ethos really, to all socialise together, all be part of a team. And we've seen that so many inactive people that haven't done any sport before have come and joined them in with the session. So our role really has been to support that, to help grow the management side of things, and to help them attract new members, see what the barriers are and how we can help with them.
Now we've got Lauren Hamilton and Polly Beck. Lauren is a newbie with Evolution.
New,
Polly,
yeah.
you've been involved in roller derby and Evolution on and off for 5 years. So let me start with you then. For anyone that doesn't know what roller derby is, explain it to us.
So there's two teams on the track at a time. It's a ringed flat track and 5 people from each team on the track, with one person from each team who's the jammer, and they wear a star on their helmet so you can tell who's who. The aim is for the jammers to get past the blockers, who are the other 4 people from their team and 4 people from the opposing team. And the blockers' aim is to stop the jammers from getting through. And the jammer scores points by passing the blockers on the opposing team.
And all of the teams are going in the same direction around the circuit, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you're a newbie. How have you found it then?
I love it.
Is it as simple as she made it sound?
Yes and no, yeah. It's the actual match is as simple as that. The learning how to actually skate and the moves you have to do is a little bit more tricky, but once you start to get things, once it clicks, you're away, you're flying.
Has it clicked yet?
We'll say yes-ish, yeah.
So Joe, tell me a bit then about sort of how what's Energise done in terms of putting a structure in place at the club, and how's that worked? What needed to be done?
It's a very daunting process starting a club up or even managing a club. People that are passionate about sport can get put off when they see they've got to do the accounts, they've got to manage a committee, everything like that. So before it was sort of Sarah who was leading up the club, who was pretty much doing a lot of things in terms of promotion, in terms of the marketing, in terms of everything to do with the club. So we've worked with Club Matters and we've worked with them in the club to help develop that management structure around it. So she has a lot less to worry about. Now they've developed a committee that meet quite regularly, and she's got different people responsible for treasury, for secretary, for organising the marketing as well. It's helped her share the workload, and we've helped put policies and procedures in place to protect her, because obviously it's a very physical sport, so you need to have the right risk assessments and everything in place. So we try to make it as simple as we can for the club to continue to develop and to continue to grow without there being a massive workload on one person.
So Polly, tell me then, somebody that might be thinking that they're interested in giving it a go, what qualities they need, what sort of person does it suit?
It suits everyone. It's not biased on anyone's physical ability. Some people come who are very athletic and do loads of sports. Some people come who've never done anything and are unfit. Any genders, so.
It's important to say that, isn't it? Because this is not an all-female sport, is it?
Yeah, it was formerly known as Evolution Roller Girls. Now we're Evolution Roller Derby, so anyone can join, no matter what gender they are.
Have you got quite a few boys?
At the moment, we're mostly girls.
Yeah.
So we would like more boys there. Yeah. but anyone, it's open to everyone.
And so there's no age limit, there's no, you know,
No,
it's very
no.
much, and I think it's important, as you said there, you don't necessarily need to be able to be a great skater.
Oh, definitely not. Your first day, it doesn't matter if you've never put on a pair of skates before, we'll have you if you're willing to try, basically. So, yeah, we'll teach you.
So tell us very quickly then, so you meet once a week,
Yep.
Yeah.
where, when, how can people find out more about you?
So we're Thursday evenings, 7 till 9, we train in Shrewsbury. And we've got a Facebook page, so Evolution Roller Derby. So you can just email or send a message, get in touch, and
Or just turn up and
Or
say,
just turn
I'm
up.
interested, please
Yeah.
can I
Well, if
get
people email
involved?
before, we can get them the right shoes to wear. That's the only thing.
Excellent. I see the planning starting to come into already. Lauren, Polly, Joe, thank you so much for
Thank
coming in
you,
and talking to us,
thank
and
you.
good luck with the future of Evolution. Now you've got the kit, everything, nothing stopping you now, and we'll see you
No.
in competition sometime soon.
Right, now it's time to turn to the business world, and here he is, Carl Jones.
Let's talk about Carillion. It's been an interesting few days for them, hasn't it? I mean,
Interesting's one
they're a
word for
roller
it.
coaster on the stock market. What's happened? Why did it happen? And where are we at now?
It all kicked off last Monday when they came to the city with a trading announcement that basically the chief executive and the finance director were both stepping down. One of the independent directors was being brought in as temporary chief executive. I understand he was actually appointed the day before. And they had to announce over 800 million quid was basically, I think it was contracts that were costing them 800 quid more, or there was about 800 quid they were going to have to write off on some major contracts. 3 in the UK, another one in the Middle East, plus some other expenses. They're having to pull out of various contracts. They're going to stop doing what's called PPP construction work. That's public-private partnership work.
Yeah.
It would appear that the thing they're sticking to and where they make a lot of money is services contracts. And the services element of PPP, the maintenance of the buildings over 20, 30 years, you can make money off of doing that, but it would be the construction of these contracts is where problems have arisen. The result was that their shares, I believe the phrase is tanked.
I think
They
it is.
fell off a cliff. They were worth, I think, just shy of a couple of quid.
They went down to about 50 odd pence.
Yeah, they
didn't
were around
So
50,
So they lost
54p at one
75% of
stage.
their value, basically.
Yeah,
didn't they?
effectively at one stage it had wiped £600 million off of the share value of the company.
And then steaming over the hill comes HS2 to sort of stabilise things, to
It's
rescue
helped.
things. Was it?
They'd started to stabilise in the last week. They've brought in HSBC to help. They've brought in what used to be called Ernst & Young and now called EY to give them a hand, trying to focus on what they're doing next, on what they're getting out of, what they're staying with.
Give us some good news then out of the business page of the Express and Star at the moment. Then what else have you been looking at? Give us some optimism and some cheer.
Oh, optimism and cheer. Well, what have we got? We've got, well, the obviously we've got the latest Jaguar that's being built.
Of course,
this is the E-Pace, which is a bit like the F-Pace, which is this rather 4x4ish looking Jag, which has been their bestseller. And they've come up with a smaller version, about 27 grand, which is reasonable apparently for a Jag.
By their standards.
By their
yeah.
standards. Funnily enough, because they've run out of room to build it in their factories in this country, because they're all going full pelt, it's going to have to be built in Austria. But, good news for local people, all the engines are still going to be turned out up at the I-54 at the engine factory in Wolverhampton. So, you know, we've still got a big chunk of us.
That's another good tick in the box. I mean, there are so many different projects now that rely on the plants in our
Absolutely.
area, don't they? From a JLR point
Another
of
thing
view.
that's been going on is the Black Country Chamber. It's campaign to get the Midlands moving. It's having a concerted effort to bring people together to try and tackle some of the big transport issues that are concerning them, and it wants businesses to get involved with them so they can have a bit of a force to go to government and say, look, we need this stuff sorted because we can make stuff here. Our problem is getting it from here to wherever it needs to go to, whether it's down south to the ports or customers up north or up in Scotland.
Which is a big setback when one of our strengths when we're selling the Midlands to other people is central location, brilliant connections, logistics.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and then you spend a couple of hours stuck on the M6. yeah, it's not helping.
And there's so many roadworks around the area at the moment. It's quite unbelievable, isn't it?
Oh, it's just constant everywhere you go. It's not just on the big roads, it's on the smaller back roads as well. Every time I try and go to work at the moment, if there's not roadworks going on, there's a sign saying, coming here soon.
Yeah, for the next 9 months you won't be able to use this road. Well, then that's good news for the civil engineering and construction industry, I guess, isn't
Absolutely. Yeah, there's always a bright side.
So then, time for a break, and when we come back I'll be taking a look up at the good old community notice board, and Carl Jones will join us once again for this week's movie news. Stay with us. Welcome back to the show. Now, still to come later on in the show, Carl Jones will be back with a taste of what's happening at the cinema at the moment. Plus, we'll be seeing what's on in the West Midlands too. So then, time for the community notice board, the news that you send to us. And if there's something that we could mention, please do get in touch, but also always give us plenty of notice. We'll give you those all-important contact details in a few minutes' time. Now, Carl Hilton has been in touch. Carl is part of Ward End White Watch, and he's let us know that the Ward End Fire Station are holding an open day on Saturday, the 29th of July. Now, they're hoping to have as many stalls as they can, offering help and advice on many topics, not just fire safety. There'll be careers advice, plus they tell us that advice from external partners will also be available to all visitors. There'll be some practical demonstrations, such as cutting up cars, and if space permits, they're hoping to display their drill ground ladder skills. Like the sound of that, so that's an open day at the Ward End Fire Station on Saturday, the 29th of July. Now, we've been hearing quite a lot recently about the big sleuth across Birmingham, but what about wolves in wolves? Well, take a look at these colourful pictures. All 30 wolves are in place at different locations across the city centre, Wolverhampton, with maps now available to help people hunt them down. It'll be the largest public art event in Wolverhampton City ever, running until September the 24th. Now, if you want to have a look at the map, you can view it online at www.wolvesinwolves.co.uk/wolves/trail.html. There it is on the screen, where it can also be downloaded and printed. Now, copies of the map are also available at Civic Centre reception, Wolverhampton Art Gallery, Central Library, WV Active Central, and the Way Youth Zone, just off the ring road. School children in Wolverhampton have been caught up in the wolf mania sweeping the city as well. Pupils from 35 primary schools, community groups and artists have designed 70 mini wolves as a spin-off from the Wolves in Wolves public art project. The colourful mini wolves form part of an exhibition at Wolverhampton Art Gallery until Sunday, September the 17th. The Lichfield Street Gallery is also the starting point for the Wolves in Wolves Trail, which has been organised by the council in partnership with disability arts charity Outside Centre and Enjoy Wolverhampton. The Mini Wolves project has been funded by the Big Lottery programme #BigCelebration. And again, full details of all the Wolves and Mini Wolves activities can be found at www.wolvesinwolves.co.uk. Wolves and wolves and wolves, we like that. Now, with Wimbledon fever in the air recently, there are many opportunities to play tennis across Sandwell. Now, people can turn up and play at one of the many free-to-use tennis courts in Redhouse Park, West Bromwich, Brunswick Park and Hilltop Park in Wednesbury, Britannia Park and Hayden Hill Park in Rowley, Victoria Park in Tipton and Victoria Park in Smethwick. And people who don't have a racket but still want to play can do so for free at sessions delivered by the council's partners, Sandwell Leisure Trust at Brunswick Park, every Sunday between 10 a.m. and midday. So to join in the sessions, you can book online at brunswickparktennis.co.uk or just turn up at Redhouse Park on a Wednesday for free family tennis between 6 and 7:30 in the evening. Now, enthusiasts, children or adults who want to improve their game, they can do so for just £2.50 a week at the SLT coached sessions at Brunswick Park and Redmore Park. And those wanting to perfect volleys or ace serves can book on the sessions by visiting www.tennisinsandwell.net and selecting the park you wish to attend. Go on, do it. It's well worth it. Now, on to some travel news. Yes, that's my old radio days coming back to haunt me. Temporary traffic diversions have been put in place in Wolverhampton as the first part of the forthcoming extension for the Midland Metro to Wolverhampton Railway Station. They'll soon be installed. Traffic management is in place from Bilston Street to Market Street, and there'll be some lane restrictions in operation. Now, the works will take up to 5 months, and they've scheduled them now while the tram doesn't actually go as far as Wolverhampton St George's due to the track replacement work on the Bilston Road. So that'll minimise the level of disruption to travelling passengers and businesses. For more information about any of that, you can look up www.metroalliance.co.uk, or you can email communications@metroalliance.co.uk. Now, more colourful wildflowers. Yes, a sea of them is springing up in open spaces and grass verges across Sandwell. 5 sites have been sown with a mixture of wildflowers, creating a stunning multicoloured display, brightening up the area and attracting bees and butterflies. Now, the flowers not only look beautiful and benefit local wildlife, they reduce the need for trimming, mowing and pesticides, saving time and money. 3 of the sites, Ashes Road open space in Albury, Sandy Lane open space in Friar Park and Balls Hill Park in West Bromwich, have had new bollards recently installed following unauthorised encampments. The flowers have been grown around the base of the bollards to add a splash of colour, encouraging bees and butterflies and reducing the need for strimming. The verges on Brandon Way in West Bromwich have also been seeded, as has the Owen Street Island in Tipton, where you might remember recently a large conifer tree came down in the high winds earlier this year. Now, just last week, the Wildlife Trust for Birmingham and the Black Country named the A41 in West Bromwich the best for bees, thanks to rare bee orchids and other plants growing there. It's down to the council changing when the mowing is done to allow the rare flowers to grow. So there we go, that's what we found pinned to this week's community notice board. And if you know about something we could tell people about, why don't you get in touch? But do give us at least a week's notice. On email, you can get in touch with us via news@madeinbirmingham.tv. On social media, look us up at Made in Birmingham TV, or use the hashtag Birmingham News. And of course, as ever, we'll have more for you at the same time next week. Now then, it's time for some movie news, and fresh from his daily film slot in the lowdown, it's back to Carl Jones.
Thanks very much, Lee. Well, no doubt about the big movie at West Midlands Cinemas this weekend. In fact, it's one of the most hyped films at the cinema this year, certainly one I've been looking forward to. It's called Dunkirk. It's got the acclaimed director Christopher Nolan in the chair, and it's the classic tale of the D-Day landings and the small ships from Britain that set sail to try and rescue the Allied forces. It's a really evocative movie, brilliantly photographed, and as you can see from this trailer, it's got a star-studded cast in it as well, including Mark Rylance, Tom Hardy, Cillian Murphy, Kenneth Branagh, to name just a few. Take a look.
What has happened is a colossal military disaster. We shall go on to the end. We shall never surrender.
The call went out. We have to go to Dunkirk. Ready on the stern line.
What are you doing? You know where we're going.
Into war, George.
I'll be useful, sir.
One of ours.
He's on me!
I'm on him.
The ship's about to leave!
Down you go!
They need to send more ships. Every hour the enemy pushes closer. They've activated the civilian boats. Civilians? We need destroyers. Where are we going?
Dunkirk.
I'm not going back. If we go, they will die. You're weekend sailors, not the bloody Navy. You should be at home.
There's no hiding from this, son. We have a job to do.
Turn it around!
We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall never surrender. We shall never surrender. We shall never surrender.
Well, Dunkirk comes highly recommended, and the reason for that is it's not just a film that pinpoints the story of one particular soldier or one particular hero. It's more about a British cause, the things that make Britain great. Hans Zimmer, the composer, puts a fantastic soundtrack together, because Christopher Nolan and Hans Zimmer are big pals. They usually work together, and the whole movie flies along at a really decent pace. It will have you on the edge of your seat from almost start to finish. It will make you laugh sometimes, it will make you frown, and it may well make you cry as well. So Dunkirk comes highly recommended. If you fancy, however, something a little bit more out of this world, well, I can point to a couple of the other films that are doing well at West Midlands box office at the moment. Top of the pile is War for the Planet of the Apes, and if you really do appreciate what computer imagery can do these days, check this one out. This is the third in the modern day trilogy, starring Andy Serkis, who's the inspiration for Caesar the Ape, who in this one is going head to head with Woody Harrelson. Don't be deceived in thinking it's all about a war film despite the title. It has some really tender moments in it, and it's really moving. So War for the Planet of the Apes is number one, and then of course Spider-Man Homecoming, the franchise that keeps getting rebooted more often than I've had hot dinners. That's also doing well still at cinemas, with Tom Holland as probably the geekiest Spider-Man that we've seen on the big screen so far. So lots to choose from at West Midlands cinemas this week. Don't forget, if you've got something you think we should be talking about, send me an email to carl.jones@madeinbirmingham.tv. See you next week.
So then, time for another short break, and when we come back, Des will be here to see what's on during the coming week. Plus, we'll have our regular look at the arts. I'll see you in a few minutes. Welcome back to the programme. Now, a little later on in the show, we'll be profiling another one of our band of artists. And if you're such an artist, or if you know of such a talented person, why don't you stay tuned, see how you could get involved. First though, it's time to take time out, love that phrase, as we find out what's on around Birmingham and the West Midlands with Des.
Right, last week was the Coffin Works. Sasha, where are we this week?
Well, you might be surprised to know that we are here at the amazing Pen Museum in the Jewellery Quarter. It has over 5,000 exhibits related to the Birmingham steel pen trade and the history of writing. And there's also creative workshops where you can go back in time and write with a feather quill, learn calligraphy techniques with steel pen nibs, and loads more. So brilliant.
See, when I started school, that's all we used to write with, was fountain pens and steel nibs. And this dreadful, I'm not allowed to say it because people will tell me off, but there was another pen came along which we don't talk about, but you know, calligraphy and writing with a nib, it's an art form.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The pen that shall not be named.
Yes, yeah. Right, starting on Monday for 3 nights, direct from its sellout London run, the New Alex Theatre presents Derren Brown Underground, the largest stage show from the multi-award-winning master of psychological illusion. Bringing together a collection of the very best of Derren's previous stage work, Underground is a spellbinding experience of showmanship and magical genius.
Wow. And at the Hippodrome on Wednesday and running until September, Cameron Mackintosh's acclaimed new production of the legendary musical Miss Saigon, a classic, winner of a record-breaking 9 What's on Stage awards, including Best Show. This epic love story tells the tragic tale of young bar girl Kim, orphaned by war, who falls in love with an American GI called Chris, but their lives are torn apart by the fall of Saigon.
That's got to be a great one.
Yeah.
And at the Crescent Theatre, which is where we were a couple of weeks ago, on Thursday, About a Goth is a raucous, most definitely rude comedy about the inevitable trials and tribulations of being 17, a goth, and gay in the 21st century. Nick's hilarious misadventures get him into all sorts of sticky situations, and it's only when something unforeseen happens at the old people's home, where he reluctantly works part-time, does he realise that there is more to life than lip-syncing to Celine Dion, sipping from half-drunk bottles of mead and yearning for oblivion. Sounds interesting? Excuse the buzzer, we're actually right in the middle. It's all going on around us, they're still working, so we just dive in and do it, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. And over the weekend of the 28th, the Jewellery Quarter Festival returns for its third year, bringing with it a taste of something quirky and a little bit different to Birmingham. The Helter Skelter makes its return, offering free rides to everyone. Are you going to be going on it?
Could be.
Going round and round the Helter Skelter. Yeah. Alongside a whole host of new entertainment, live music and free heritage tours, the festival will also offer a tantalising selection of street food and drink, alongside more than 60 quirky bars, independent cafes and restaurants all over the weekend. So a feast if you want to have fun, and also for the taste buds too. Maybe don't go on the Helter Skelter after you've eaten lots of food.
That might be an idea, yeah. And also the Jewellery Quarter opens its studios with artists, artisans and creatives across the quarter, opening up their workshops and studios for people to come inside and see what they make. Okay, here we go, gig of the week time.
It is that time.
Now then, this has to be the gig of the week. Sissy Stone and her band are at the Jam House on Wednesday night, and if you missed her at the Blue Piano, don't miss this one. Why? Get down there and find out. So what we'll do is we'll do a bit of a trick now. We had talked about Darren Brown, the magic. So if we concentrate on that, right, let's see what happens. So if I go 3, 2, 1, okay. And so 3, 2, 1. Sissy Stone, gig of the week. Don't miss it. Back to you.
And Des will be back here at the around the same time each week. Plus you can catch up with what's going on during the rest of the week on Thursday's edition of The Lowdown. Right then, do you have an artistic nature? Do you? Would you like to come on the telly and show people what you do? Well, that sort of interests you. This is the sort of thing that we mean.
Landscapes, of course, don't always have to be about the big, wide vista. I like looking for the smaller picture and looking for interesting features, especially in the foreground, such as these rocks here and the stream are providing, and focusing really close up. And this shot works better in a portrait format rather than a landscape. You've got the stream then providing a leading line, running away towards the distance. Digital cameras these days will do everything for you in automatic mode, but if you want the best results, then learn how to control the camera using the manual settings, particularly the aperture or the f-stop, the shutter speed and the ISO level, which controls how sensitive the sensor is to light. Falling water is always a very popular subject to shoot, and we're going to try a few different techniques here on the Blaen Taf River in the Brecon Beacons. Shooting moving water is all about shutter speed. A fast shutter speed of say 500ths of a second will actually freeze the motion, and you get the droplets actually appearing perfectly crystal clear in mid-air. Alternatively, I'm going to use a slow shutter speed of between 15 and 30 seconds, and that will create the impression of motion. You'll get this very pleasing blurry effect created by the moving water. And to achieve that slow shutter speed, we probably need to use a neutral density filter, which reduces the amount of light that comes into the camera, thereby enabling us to slow the shutter speed quite a lot. And the other essential thing, obviously, is the use of a tripod and a bit of care as we cross the river. And in order to achieve the maximum depth of field, we'll need to set the aperture at least f8 or f16. framing then is the other issue to decide on. This particular scene, I think, works well as quite a wide shot to include the rocks on the right-hand side and a bit of greenery on the left. And the other alternative, I think, which works just as well, is to tighten in on the waterfall itself.
And we'll be profiling another artist at around the same time next week. Now maybe you're an artist with a passion for the subjects you portray. Why don't you get in touch? You never know, we might be able to feature you or your work on the show. Or perhaps you know of an artist that we could cover. Either way, we'd love to take a look at your work. So why don't you get in touch? You can always email news@madeinbirmingham.tv.
In the coming years, the West Midlands could well have a strong claim in a quest to be described as the #1 region in the country, and come 2021, Coventry could have a big part to play in it. It's been announced that Coventry has been shortlisted as one of the 5 cities to be crowned as the City of Culture, and if successful, it could come with big benefits.
We'd expect a huge rise in tourism, £80 million of economic benefit, a huge amount of regeneration in the city, but actually almost more importantly is what does it mean for the people? So what does it mean for the people that are working in the city? What does it mean for people that are coming to visit it, the students and the tourists? I mean, there's just a huge amount of opportunity based around winning the City of Culture title, and Coventry is ready to kind of grab it with both hands and take it forward.
The honour is currently with Hull, as they were named as the City of Culture for 2017. Coventry will be competing against the likes of Paisley, Swansea, Sunderland and Stoke-on-Trent, and with the potential increase in tourism, it could be vital for local businesses.
I would love, certainly from the point of a tourism point of view, because there's so many things to see in Coventry and people go, oh no, Coventry. There's loads of things to see in Coventry. So from that point of view, to put us on the map would be a massive, massive boost.
With culture comes art, and in Fargo Village, that certainly comes in abundance.
Yeah, I think it will make the city very proud. I think there's a lot of things that we offer and what we can talk about. And if the eyes of other people start looking at the city and we can offer something to a wider audience, then great, that's what it's about.
Where I work, where my studio here is here at Fargo, there's a lot of visual artists, independent artists, who could and should really benefit from the bid.
So what happens now? Well, the bid team will launch their final bid in September ahead of the decision that will be made in December, where Coventry will hope to be named as the place to be officially. Aaron Wiggins, Birmingham News.
Right, time for a break now. When we come back, it'll be time to catch up with who Jason's talking to this week in the Milk Bar. Then our Norman will be heading back in time to take a look at what was happening in our area in years gone by. Fascinating stuff. Oh, and we'll take a look at the weekend weather for you too. I'll see you in a few minutes. And welcome back to the final part of today's programme. Right, let's now make our regular call to the Milk Bar with Jason Forrest. And Wolverhampton-based singer-songwriter Siobhan tells Jason here all about her career so far, and in a few minutes' time she'll be performing an exclusive acoustic version of her single, Like You.
Singer-songwriter Siobhan has been working very hard in the studio with a brand new single out there now, and she joins me now to tell me more about it. Hello.
Hello.
So what's been going on then? Because a brand new single, I heard you perform it live in a shopping centre at the weekend, and it sounds fantastic.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, so we just released my first single, Like You. It's on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, Google Play. You can find it in any digital outlets. So yeah, we just released it. It's going pretty well, so fingers crossed we get it in the charts.
Well, tell us about the story so far then.
Okay, so I've been signed to a music recording label since November, West Park Records, and we rehearse every week on a Tuesday at the Beats Bar studio in Wolverhampton. So yeah, so I've literally been working really hard. I started writing my own music about 2 years ago. So yeah, it's literally just so much behind the scenes work, recording in the studio, writing at home, and then you like get to the end product. So yeah, it is a lot of behind the scenes work though. So
Now, we're going to be hearing from you and seeing you perform in a moment or two's time, but you have a partner in crime for this one because Derek is going to be playing guitar for you.
yes, my guitarist Darius, he's amazing. We call him #Big D. So so yeah, he's the best. I mean, it's always nice to work with people that you can bounce off. So yeah, he really does bring out the best in me, and I think we work well as a team. So.
But does this mean you have to keep Derek around when you're writing, or do you play an instrument yourself that you write with?
No, I just literally how it started. I would go onto YouTube, I would figure out the mood I was in, pick right sad or happy beat, or an artist, for example, Rihanna or Ed Sheeran type of beat. Then I would start to write. Then I would go to the studio and say, look guys, this is what I've done. They would remake a beat that sounded the same, or Derek would then remake a acoustic version, and then it worked like that.
So it's really a teamwork building all the tracks, but starting from your ideas and turning it into the sound that you're really polishing and making right.
Yeah. So for the minute, we're trying to go for an urban pop kind of feel. So, I mean, at the minute, it's kind of, I think the hardest thing is to do is find your sound. Once you've found your sound and people know that sound is you, then you're onto something. So at the minute, we're doing an urban pop kind of feel.
You certainly seem to be owning what you're doing, which is really, really good. And obviously, when you're doing this, it's constantly the push for the next piece of music, So single out there at the moment, when can we next expect to see a full album from you?
Well, we've already been in the studio again, starting the next single. Hopefully an EP will be out by Christmas times. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But there should be some other little exciting moments that are coming along this year, so we never know what to expect.
So look out for it online. So where can people find you to see what's going on?
You can find me on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter at I am Siobhan Official. So yeah, follow me, guys.
So I am Siobhan Official pretty much everywhere, and that's where you want to look if you want to hear the tune. So tell us about the track then. What are we going to hear?
Okay, so we're going to hear, it's a kind of a usual boy meets girl kind of tune, but this time it's the girl who's chasing the boy. So it's just a fun, happy, kind of Justin Bieber summery kind of song. So yeah, but today we're going to do an acoustic version for you, so I hope you like it.
Our vision is blurry, flying high like a bird. Not a thing in the sky that could take us down, down, down. Trapping it down, down, down. Yeah, you know it, I know it, they know it. It's all over town, town, town. And I knew that in time you would be mine, not just for the night, for life, yeah, just you and I. Watch how I whine, no need to be shy. There's nobody like you, no. Tell me what we can do, no. There's nobody like you, no. Better off as a two, boy, I only see you. There's nobody like you. There's nobody like you. There's nobody like you. There's nobody like you. No, no, no. There's nobody like you. No, no. Hey, there's nobody like you. No. And they say that I'm strong, but your love makes me weak, boy. If this love is so wrong, why does it feel like it's right when you come around, round, round? Dropping it down, 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 down. Yeah, you know it, I know it, they know it. It's all over town, town, town. And I knew that in time you would be mine, not just for the night, yeah, for life, yeah. Just you and I, nobody like you. No. There's nobody like you. There's nobody like you. Oh, I feel it, it's taking me under. Can no longer control.
Thanks very much to Jason and Siobhan there. And we'll have more from the Milk Bar at the same time next week. But of course, if that's not enough for you, then as we always say, the Milk Bar is available as a podcast. It's also on the radio too. So have a look online at www.themilkbarpodcast.com to find out more. Right, now it's time. It's my favourite bit of the show, this. I shouldn't say that really. We're going to take a quirky but interesting look back in time with everyone's favourite historian. It's Norman Bartlett.
This month in 1837 saw the arrival of the first steam train in West Bromwich, which ran not into the town but to Newton Road on a line operated by the Grand Junction Railway. Nonetheless, there was an enthusiastic turnout at the opening as depicted in this mural, which is on display in West Bromwich Central Library. The country locals looked impressed, but the station hierarchy weren't, because passenger numbers proved to be disappointing. And so in 1863 the station made tracks to another location, further along the line nearer to Ray Hall. However, by the turn of the century, numbers hadn't really picked up, and the man who had ideas above his station decided in 1902 that the station should be resited at its original spot. That station closed in 1945 and never reopened.
And staying on the subject of history, if you'd like Norman to take a look at something in days gone by, then why don't you get in touch? You could email news@madeinbirmingham.tv. So then it's time to close the pages of the Birmingham News Weekend magazine for Saturday. Now I'll be back tomorrow night at 6 with more from the Weekend magazine, and then bright and early on Monday morning at 7 it's the Birmingham News Review of the Week. Plus of course you can keep up to date with more news for Birmingham and the West Midlands every weekday at 6 and 8 in the evening. So that's it for now. Stay tuned, the weather is up next, and then after the break we'll be seeing what George and Taffy have been up to this week on The Lowdown. Thanks for watching. From me, for now, to Orbit.